Hi, everyone. So this is one of the first in a short series of lunchtime conversations that we're going to have. So we have tried Jen and I have tried different times to do this. So we're going to see how lunch works. And it's great too. We can have people from different time zones. So we'll do in the next couple of months 2 more of these. So please come and join if you like this one. And yeah, just to give you a little bit of information about the chapter, it's Jen and I that run it. And we are based in Berlin, as mentioned. And we're really excited to have Tanja here. So she's going to talk about her journey as a community manager and also, just kind of give some tips into how to get into the field. If you also have any suggestions or ideas or questions about certain topics in community management and you want to see an event about it, feel free to reach us either on the Slack in the CMX Slack or through LinkedIn or something like that. And this goes on what we were just talking about a little bit ago, the different chapters. So last I checked, there was over 40 chapters of CMX Connect. So Connect is basically like the ambassadors program of CMX, which is a professional organization for community managers. So there's lots of local chapters. And as mentioned, you can find them from the same website that you registered for the event. And the last thing is, if you like, you can turn your camera on. And we also ask just if you maybe put your mute on as you already have, and close any distracting apps. So there's no dings, but if you have your mute on, that's good to go. And then we'll have the chat box open to ask questions. But since there's just 4 of us, and it looks like it might be 4 of us for a while, feel free to just, once you get prompted for questions, you can turn your microphone on. And then last but not least, we have our speaker introduction. So Tanja, I'd like to turn it over to you. Maybe just, introduce yourself and then feel free to jump right into your presentation. So you can put it up. I took away my own sharing.
Yeah, great. Hey, it's great to be here. It's great to see you guys and to actually talk to you about how I became a community manager, because we all have so different stories in different ways. I think the only thing a lot of us have in common that we have a really unusual way of getting into the business. Because when I think about my own journey, I always want to get into the media sector. I never want to study business administrations. I ended up studying business administrations. Still want to go into the media business, but going forward was always like, oh, I have a decision here, I have a decision there, and I'm going this way now. But only in retro perspective, everything gets one big picture, and it seems like it was always leading on where I'm today. So it's quite funny that we all have so different stories, and most of the time not a straight line. And so I want to talk to you a bit about how I came here and what I've done. I'm based in Cologne, and I work quite a while in the community industry. Better to say since 2006. That's around the time when Twitter was launched. And I looked at the charts yesterday, and it was quite funny to see what kind of songs have been on the hit list back then. So it's been a while that I started, and it all started with an internship for me at the media group RTL, which is a big media company over here in Germany and Europe. And on my first day, they asked, okay, who wants to take care on the emails of the members or the users? And my hand went up. And that's when my journey all began, because all of a sudden I was responsible for everything that was related to the user, not just the emails. But Clipfish was the platform I was doing that internship, and they were set out to be the German YouTube version. So I took care of the user moderators. I was responsible for the administration part, how to moderate the users, how to bring them a really good experience, and all that kind of thing. So I kind of slid into community building, and it has fascinated me ever since. To really have your own dedicated platform, because I do like the things you can do in social networks and to be active there. But I think it's much more interesting to have your own platform. You can do so much more with it and you're so much more flexible. But it depends on your target and your target group, where you really want to be and what you really want to do. So, anyway, back in 2006, that's where it all started. Even so, no one really knew what community management is. Um, Everyone I told, yeah, I'm a community manager. What are you doing? Never heard of. At least over here in Germany, that only changed in around 2010 when the social networks came around, Facebook. And then all of a sudden, we had social media managers, which came up everywhere. And then the community managers all of a sudden had a name as well. So my journey basically started with that internship. And then I went on to be an employee at RTL and to build two communities over there, one for cooking recipes, another about women and all subjects related to that. And then I later on worked for Douglas, which is a perfume chain, a bit like Sephora, the European one. And then in 2010, I decided to go on my own, to not be an employee anymore, but to do some self-employed work. And I started off as a freelancer. So most of the time, I was doing projects for other companies. I could decide a bit more on my time and what I'm doing, what projects I'm doing, but I was basically a freelancer. And then over the time, I kind of changed my business. It took a couple of years. I'm self-employed since 2010. But today, I'm not a freelancer anymore. I'm more an entrepreneur. I'm a consultant, and I'm giving my own workshops, giving my own trainings, having some own products. And that's been a long process. But today I do help other community managers to become better in their work and to build active and engaged communities. So that's kind of the story, how I ended up where I am today. One thing that's always been on my mind is bringing people together, connecting cultures. And I used to study in Australia, and they've got a great conference, a Swarm conference, where you can learn a lot about community building. And also the CMX Summit in Redwood City, where I've been in 2019 as well. Unfortunately, you won't be able to make it this year. But what I can recommend, one thing to you when you want to become a community manager, attend things like this today, this webinar, meet people, exchange with other community managers, go to Swarm, go to CMX Summit, go to Community Rebellion Conference. It's really the most important thing to meet up with other people, to learn about their experience and to exchange. And one thing that only drove me and why I really love my job is I do love to connect people and to get to know different cultures. And you need to have that. If you don't want to get to know other cultures, other people, if you're not interested in that and to discover how to bring people together and what's the best way to connect them so that they can keep on the discussion, then this job is not for you. You really need to be inspired by that and love to do that. Let's talk a bit about the role of a community manager and what's in it that you have to do. There are different ways into community management. You can start out because you decide you want to be a community manager, and you can learn the facts about the industry you are in. So you learn everything that you need to know about community building. You need everything you need to know about community management. And then you go into the media business, the controlling, fashion, whatever industry. And then you learn the things that's necessary for your industry. That's one way. A lot of times people have been in the support or media or hospitality industry beforehand, and then they decide, oh, this is a lot of community management as well. I'm connecting people, I'm helping people. So I want to evolve into another industry. That's the second way you can do. Or the third version is you're a subject matter expert. Let's say about how to build a product and how to fly to the moon, whatever. And then you decide, okay, let's build a community for that. So you have all the knowledge you need to know, and then you decide, okay, now I learn how to build a community management around that. All of these ways are possible, and there's no better or worse way. It always depends on you and the community you want to build or the work you want to do. So all is possible, and that's the beauty of it, that you have so many ways into the business. When we're talking about community managers, there are 3 different types of community management. You have the community manager in a social network. You have the one on standing alone platform, which can be external or internal, like targeting clients, B2B partners, or on the internal side, the employees of your company. Those 3 have a lot of things in common. Like, they're all connecting people. It's all about moderating. It's about having a good atmosphere. But all of them have different aspects, and the roles are different in a way. So if you talk to a community manager, which has another tenants, you might figure out that you have a complete different job and that you're doing complete different things. Like, let's start with the community manager social network. And I need to say that over here, especially in Germany, a lot of people think when building a community, it's just you have a Facebook or LinkedIn page. And moderating on the page, that would be your community. So no, not really. You still can do good community management there, interacting and engaging with your crowd, but you don't have a community there. So a community manager social network, you are a bit more detached personally, because you don't have a face and you don't have your own name. You always work with the company's name and profile. But your risk of shitstorm and hate speech are much higher when you work in the social networks. When you work on a standalone platform for external targets or target groups, you're much more personally inclined with the members, because you act with your own name, you act with your face, with your profile. The people know you, and with that you can create bigger bonds and you can be better together with the people. You have, on a standalone platform, much more possibilities, what kind of content you want to have, what kind of functionalities you want to have. So you have much broader range on what you are able to do and how to interact, and you are more personally involved. but it has to make sense for what the company wants. The third one is when you're on a standalone platform for internal target groups. So your users and members are your colleagues from the company you're working in. In this role, the strategic part is even higher and more than in all the other roles you're in. And it's really a special kind of thing to get those members engaged because it's their daily job. They're so busy with their all day work that they think about, do I really want to join an internal community doing some stuff? You really have to consider what is a good approach to do it. But we have really great internal communities over here in Germany. We've never been that good with external ones. We have some good big ones, we have some good B2B ones, but if you compare it with other countries worldwide, we're really far behind when it comes to external communities. But we're really good with internal ones. We have some great examples like Telekom, Mercedes, Continental, Bosch. They are great companies with internal community management who are doing it for years. And it was always clear that over here in Germany that would pick up as well. And during the last few years, especially with the pandemic, it kind of skyrocketed. And now much more companies realize that they need a community, and that community management, community building is really essential in nowadays workplace. Community management, community building is not a 9-to-5 job. Your users are online 24 hours. They are there always. No matter it's an external or internal community, because on the internal ones, you have different time zones. So it's a normal working hours for the people. And now that doesn't mean that you should work 24 hours as well. But you need really to be aware of this, because when you're so attached to your job, and when most of the community managers actually live their job, it's not just a job for them, but it's part of their life. So it's easily that you get distracted into, or I just answer this one thing and I get to go and do this one. And something always happens Friday night, 10 p.m. You can be sure of that. And sometimes it's better to just jump in Friday night, 10 p.m. Because otherwise, if you let it run the whole weekend, then you will have a work to do all the jobs instead of a week to do, and to get it all sort of back down instead of maybe an hour on the Friday night. But that should not be your daily business. You really have to take care of yourself. You can promote some opening hours. That's not going to stop anyone from posting, but you're setting expectations, and people know when they can expect an answer from you and when you're available. Or there are a couple of agencies that actually look out for your channels. There are tools, monitoring systems where you can actually have kind of an alarm if something happens, so you don't have to be around all the time. Community management is really challenging, and you need to be aware of some facts, and you really need to have some self-care and some resilience in order to enjoy that job and be in there for a long time. Community management is all about building relationships. It's all about connecting people, getting in touch with each other. It's not about having a big reach, what social media marketing and management is about most of the time. It's not about, how do we get 1 million followers? It's more about how do we get deeper connections with our members, how we get to know each other better, so we have a bigger bond and a stronger bond, because that's what the members keep at your company. A lot of companies are getting so interchangeable these days. All the products, you don't know, is it from that company or that company? The brand names are not always that important anymore. What's important are the relationships that you build. So people are going where they are known, where the company and brands know what they want and where they feel comfortable and welcome. And that's what you have need to look out for. So as a community manager, you're always a host. And when building a community, it's kind of like you're sitting there and, damn, where shall I start? What shall I do? And that can be a challenge. But every one of us has hosted a party, no matter if it's a dinner for 3 people or the big event for 100 or 1,000 people. So take that as your guiding line. You would never, when you're throwing a party, leave one person standing alone in some corner. You would take that person and present it to some other people and to connect them, that they can have a chat, and you would introduce those people. Also, when planning that party, you think about, okay, for how many people is it? Who you want is that the people are coming? Who should not come at all? Who you don't want to see at your party? Do you need some kind of program? Is there a dress code? So how people have to behave? Where is the location that you're hosting it? Can you do it all on your own? Or do you need some service personnel, that is some moderators that are helping you out? So when you think along those lines, community building, it's much better to get it into perspective and how to approach and what different steps you are taking to get there. Community management and community building is one of the most underrated jobs. A lot of people think like, oh yeah, you're just answering some comments in social media, or you're just connecting some people. That's easy, I can do it. No, you cannot. The job is really challenging, especially when you want to build a community and when you need to bring those people together. And it takes time. So a lot of people a lot of organizations and companies don't understand how much time and effort it actually takes to build a community. And when people approaching me and say, okay, Tanja, we want to build a community, one of the first questions I ask is, why? Because if they're doing it for the wrong reasons, they should better not build a community. My job is not to tell everyone build a community, but to find out which community is really worth building. Because otherwise, when people are just building communities without a clear purpose and a clear direction, then it's not going to work. And in the end, they're blaming the industry and they're blaming communities, and they're saying, oh, communities? We tried. It's not working. Yeah, it's not working because they had the wrong approach. So you really need to be sure that for the challenge you're facing, a community is the right choice, and that you know what you're getting yourself at, and that it takes time and effort to get in there. Communities have a lot of power, and they can help a company, but they can also make a company really, really small and almost. There's a recent story over here in Germany I would like to share with you. The company is called More Nutrition, and they kind of got big through what they call their community and influencer marketing and influencer management. Well, they are basically an Instagram brand, and they have their influencers who all of them have their own community. They're also doing meetups, inviting people, that kind of thing. And they had a community event which gone fairly bad. And how they reacted to that, that's kind of, it had a long tail in the end. But one thing beforehand, what I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but to get listed over here in the supermarkets is kind of long and expensive way. So I've been told that they told their community, okay, go and tell all the supermarkets that you're missing our products. And that's how they got listed. That they were not listed the usual way, that they were listed by their fans and followers. Because a community can do that. A community can bring the company where the company wants to be. And now they had this event, and on the event was bad. It was really bad organized. People were waiting 1.5 to 2 hours just to get water, 3 to 5 hours to get some food. It was steering hot. It was about 30 degrees that day. A lot of people were screaming, were crying. There were pregnant women who almost faded. So it was really, really bad experience. All of Instagram was full about people complaining about the thing. And then they showed really bad judgment, really bad community management skills, because they deleted all of the comments. All the negative comments, they just erased them. So that's when another Instagram account popped up and collecting all the comments that they deleted. Like the Barbara Streisand effect, this one made it much, much bigger than it has been before. And that kind of opened the door for all the people that criticized the CEO or one of the main faces of the company before. So it went as far that they were talking about that people have been threatened, that there has been drug abuse and mobbing, all that kind of things. So that person who was always the spokesperson, never the CEO, even so he claimed he would be, in the end, he lost his job and he is out of the company. It might have happened anyway at some point in the future, but their mismanagement of this situation just opened the door that it really kind of exploded. All of the Instagram was full about it, and the people saw the chance to actually get some change. So if you're not nice to the people that help you, if you're not nice to your community, they're not going to support you anymore. A community can make your company great, but it can also destroy it. There are a couple of skills you need when you're becoming a community manager. Community building is often digital. It's awesome to meet people in person, but we often meet online, and not like we with Zoom or other tools and calls, but writing text. And the thing with that is we don't see the other people. We are not seeing their faces. We are not hearing their voices. We have only the text. And so we don't really know how they mean something when they're articulating their text. We have no idea what's really behind it. So we really need to be aware of the choice of words that we are doing, because written text can sound so much harder than it's actually meant to be. So you really need to be aware on how you phrase things, what kind of words you use, if you're using emoticons or if you don't use them. You need a lot of empathy. You need to get yourself in the role of the other people. How do they feel? What are their experience? What do they need from you in this situation? So empathy is really the key to a lot of things being a community manager. And you always communicate. You cannot not communicate. Because even if you're not answering a question, if you're not interacting with your people, that's an answer, that's a reaction. You show that you're not interested in interacting with them. It's like you have an in-person talk. Like if I would stand in Berlin with Jana and she would be talking to me, and in the middle of her speech, I would just turn around, my back on her, and walk off. If you're ignoring people on the internet, that is kind of the same effect. That's the same thing. So you're always communicating, and you need to be aware of that. If you're ignoring people, that's a sign that says something. And you really need to listen. That sounds like a cliche, and that's easier said than done. But really listen to what your members are telling you. Ask questions. Even if you understand what they're telling you, go and ask, oh, did I get that correctly? Because if you ask some questions back, that really shows interest. So that has a lot to do with recognition and appreciating people, to really show them what they mean to you and what they want to know. And take care of your super users. Don't take them for granted, because they are the ones making your community. I'm sure you have heard of the 99-1 rule, or that the newer figures from the community roundtable, about 55 people that are just looking, that are not participating in your community at all, that there are 25% of the people that interact a bit, and that there are 20% that are really engaging, interacting. They are more focused on standalone platforms. The other 99-1 rule is more on social media pages, content platforms, that kind of thing. And most people do the big mistake that they're focusing on the big percentage that's inactive. But if someone is inactive, they don't want to be activated. You can do whatever you want. Rather focus on those people that are already active. Don't forget the others, but don't spend your main energy and time on the people that are not doing anything. Be really there for your super users and show them how important they are. That's much better for a long living community. And there is a lot of hate speech, a lot of fake news, cyber mobbing, and in the upcoming future, there's going to be even more of that with the deep fakes, all of the AI. And you really have to be aware of that, and you have to take care of yourself, talk with other people, see how you can deal with that. That's not easy, and you need to know what you're getting yourself into. So, in conclusion, there are 3 things I would like to share with you, what have been my most important learnings in this journey so far. One of it, an audience is not a community. Having a big reach, being in interaction, having a dialogue, that's not a community. You can do community management with your audience, but it's not the same as a community. I always compared with an example of a concert. When you have a great day and the band is playing and interacting with the audience, and at some point the band leaves the stage, the audience goes home, goes to another concert tomorrow. But there's a small group that's still there and that's going to the next concert of the same band, that know each other, that interact with each other. In this small group, that's your community. Both are fair. You can interact with an audience, you can build a community, whatever you want, but you need to know the difference between those two, because they're 2 different strategies. Community managers set a framework so that others can thrive. You don't have to have the answer for everything. You don't need to do everything on your own. You can have help. You can ask people. You're just setting the frame. But you shouldn't do everything on your own. And it's not about you. It's about a group. It's about a community. And community management is not math. There's not the one success factor or formula I can give you, like 1+1 is 2. You need to make your own experiences, and each community is different because we work with people, and every person is different. So every community is different. And this is my question for you, if you want to come up with it.
Thank you, Tanja. Big applause.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi. Hi, Wei Ling, and welcome to Lisolette. I hope I pronounced that properly if you're here. I wanted to see if Wei Ling, I mean, I know this was a lot of information for you, so we can always break it down a little bit for the next 15 minutes. If you, I saw you taking notes, so that's awesome. That's the sign of growth mindset, which is a great skill to have as a community manager. So I wanted to see if maybe you had some questions for her out of everything that you said. And if not, I can also ask Tanja some questions to maybe break down certain things that she has mentioned. What do you think, Wei Ling?
Yeah, sure. I just have so after this is like my first webinar on community management. It gives me a lot of assurance that part of what I do, or actually a lot of what I do, is really managing people. And I think what really struck me was community management is relationship building, and that it makes me think about my challenge. It's always so this role that I'm in, managing a cohort of 60 over graduate students in a program, and when I bring it to my team and say like, yeah, we have to have community management skills integrated into what we do, it's very unheard of because I think it's such a new field, especially in higher ed. But then a lot of it's really making sure that people are engaged. And I think my biggest challenge is always when I put in form of engagement. So we use MS Teams at Mason, and there's very little engagement. And it's like it's that awkwardness of, oh, how do I engage when there are already crickets at the beginning? Like, so I think that's my biggest challenge, and I always feel like, am I the reason? Like, are people not engaging with me, or it's just people are not used to the idea of engaging in a cohort like this?
It's the latter, because first of all, starting to build a community is always hard. So in the beginning, you're always the one who is kind of the animator or the only person dancing in front of everyone. So that's kind of a hard job to do in the beginning, and almost a lot of communities start like that, if it's not a grassroots evolvement. And MS Teams is not really, I know a lot of people are building communities with MS Teams, but that's actually not really a community building tool. So it's also hard to do that with them. And what you should do is choose 3-4 people as your core group, and get to know those ones really well. Connect those people via video call, or if possible in person. And well, they are building the community with you. You really need to start with a core group and then get bigger and bigger, so that those people know each other, interact with each other, and then other people feel more comfortable. And second one, make sure that people know that every question is allowed, that they are not being harassed no matter what questions they are asking, that no one thinks they are dumb and all that kind of things, because people are always not aware, okay, who are the other people? How can I interact here? They rather watch instead of being evolved because they don't want to be blamed for anything. So you need to create a safe space where people feel welcome to interact.
Yeah, and she mentions the small groups that's called in community speak a minimum viable community, an MVC. And there's a lot of articles out there, and I can link one in the chat so that you can see how to do that and what the process would be.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And also, Wei Ling, you mentioned skills. So maybe, Tanja, you can answer this question, but with people who don't have specific community management skills, yes, everybody has transferable skills that I used to get into community management, and I had also to learn all these skills. But where should they begin to build those relevant skills? More like hard skills, because you mentioned empathy and listening, but those are more soft skills.
Yeah, they should really talk to other community managers, read articles, watch videos, all of kind of things. And then there's the community roundtable actually has a skills framework where you see all the different kind of skills, which is really good. And on the CMX page, there are a lot of articles about what skills you need and how to get them. You can get all those theories and read them, but in the end, you need to do it. You need to get out there and figure out what really works in your community and what's good for you people. Because no one can give you a framework that just works like that. If one thing is working in one community, it does not need to work in your community because they're all so different. So you need to know those skills. You need to know you need good writing skills. You need moderation skills. All those you can train, and that's where you should start.
There's this ongoing internal joke that says community managers wear a million different hats. So even if you were to transition out of community management, you could do any job because you're already doing them all.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of networking, because networking, at least for me, has been very important and beneficial. And I know, Tanja, you mentioned going to multiple conferences. Could you share your own experience with networking and how being involved in the community has benefited your career?
Yeah, for me, that has been really the world and opened the world for me. When I worked for RTL, when I started, there have been 2,500 employees, but I was the only one who was working as a community manager there. So I couldn't talk to anyone at all about my job. And that's we have a community association over here in Germany as well, and that's when I started to be a member over there. A few years later, I even was the chairwoman of that association because it really helped me a lot, because I could ask there all the questions I needed for my job. And it was so good to talk for the first time to people who actually understood what I'm doing in my job. So go to webinars, go to conferences. CMX is doing a lot of stuff. Go to all the chapters, go to all the exchanges, read all those articles. Networking really is key. And don't look in your own country, but look abroad, look internationally, talk to everyone. You will realize you all have the same problems. But there are new ideas, new approaches from everywhere in the world.
Like you're doing now, coming to this Berlin one. And Lieselette, Lisa Letty, I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing if you're there. Do you have any questions or is there anything you would like to add or say? I'm all good, thanks. Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to add some articles that have been mentioned and also other ones such as how to transition to a career community from David Spinks, 10 lessons from 1 year as a community manager from Max Pete. We have a perfect guide to starting a career community. So I'll send all of those in the chat in a second. And I just want to see, Wei Ling, do you have any additional questions or follow-ups that you would like to ask?
Oh, yeah, this has been great. I think I'm at this stage where I'm absorbing information and trying to navigate my way. But I really, really resonate with what Tanya you mentioned, like meeting people who speak the same language as you. It's like, yeah, finally someone understand what I'm doing. So yeah, this is great. This will be like my first touch point, like a formal touch point into community management, and really happy to be here.
Yay! All right, here are the links. Of course, TMX Summit is October 4th and 5th. Are you going?
Oh yeah, I need to find out more. I need to learn more about it and see how feasible is it to go to California, but it'll be great.
Yeah, we have as I mentioned, we have some tickets to give away. So if you can get to California, I know it's on the other side of the country. We can chat too. So, or if you know anyone else who is interested, let us know.
I've got a ticket. I was planning on going, but I can't with my schedule. So,
wow, you're in Finland. I love that we have someone in Europe that's here with us as well.
yeah.
All right. Well, this was it. Tanya, amazing. Let's give you a high five.
Woo!
And it was so nice to meet you. And hopefully we'll see you in October when you're here in Berlin. And Wei Ling, if you're ever in Europe, we'll all go to Finland and hang out with Lisa Letty. and yeah, let us know. Feel free to Slack us, send us a message or email us. And we're here for you if you need anything.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, do you mind dropping the Slack link? I would love to join.
Okay, so
let me figure out how to do that.
Let's look for that.
Yeah, and feel free to connect on LinkedIn or wherever.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely.
Let's see here. Yeah, because you may have to join. I think that you actually have to join through, if you go to the website, the CMX website, I think you have to join that way because you might just have to give some information. But totally worth it to do that because there's tons of resources that you can get your hands on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, here's the website for it, and I'll just send it to you. Okay, there you go. Bye. Thank you, Lisa Letty. Just saying bye to Lisa Letty.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.